Yeah. Well, I feel very privileged to be here in your lovely country. We came in last Friday night, and we have got to spend now a week here in your lovely state, and it is very different. It is very exotic to us. We come from a place where you have not much of anything exotic. We have no wildlife practically. We don't have firebugs or fireflies or what do you call them? So everything is just a big adventure. Yeah. But tonight I have the privilege of sharing with you a message that this is the first part, and I'm going to do this one, but it's going to be, the things we're going to do is going to build on each other. So even though the first part might not give you all the answers, I encourage you to stick around. Because in the end, it should make sense. And if it doesn't, we will have questions. We will have time for questions. So that will, that will be very good. But the title of tonight is called The Problem of Humanity, the Lack of a Reference. Yeah? But before we really get into our topic tonight, I would like to ask you a question. And I have heard that here in your country, you're very good at anticipating, right? Yeah? Because in Denmark, that doesn't happen. What does every seminar start with?
Prayer.
What?
Prayer.
Prayer. If it is a Christian seminar, that is in general what a seminar will start with. Yes? But just in general, if you go to a lecture, what does the presenter start with doing in general? He introduces himself, that's correct. And he gives you, in most cases, his resume, right? Is that not what it's called? His CV, all his accomplishments, that he's a doctor, he studied this for so and so long. Why do the seminars start with this?
They want you to know that you know what you're talking about.
Exactly. We want to establish what we call credibility. What is the easiest way to stop an information from spreading?
Discredit it.
Exactly. You just have to spread a rumor about the one who brings the information. And immediately, you stop it. And especially if you have a person with a great influence. How is this possible? How can you stop an information from spreading simply by spreading a rumor?
Repeating.
This is the provocative answer to that question. We have stopped thinking for ourselves. And we do not evaluate information. We evaluate the messenger. Is it a good thing? No. I cannot give you a fancy resume because I don't have one. But I hope that you will consider the information I bring you anyway. Because the information, if examined, might just change your life. We have two main issues in the world today. And those two main issues is disease. And then we have the issue that the human being does not have the capacity to control himself. People cannot get along. Is it not true? Or do you just get along with everybody? Is there somebody in here who has problems getting along with people? Sometimes? It's very good. Yeah. When we want to solve a problem, we want to find the cause. In order to do that, what do you have to know in order to find the cause? Well, the first thing you have to know is the difference between a cause and an effect. Yes? Does it make sense? We need to know what the cause is before we can find what a cause is before we can find the cause. So, definition of cause and effect. Can anybody in here tell me what is a cause? What?
Problem.
A problem?
Problem.
Not necessarily. A cause is not necessarily a problem. Now in the background here, I'll go back, because here we have the full picture. I don't know, have any of you ever heard of the game domino? Yeah? In this picture, can anybody find me the cause of the row tipping over?
Action taken by the person who's got that finger.
There's one there who's very smart, because he went all the way back to the actual cause. Most people just say the first one tipping over. Yeah? So, the definition of cause and effect. A cause is the beginning point of a process. And what is then an effect?
They all fell down.
Everything that comes after. Yeah? Why have we not found the cause of uncontrollable behavior or disease?
Because we spend too much time looking at the side effects instead of the cause.
Very good answer. When I was 20 years old, I wanted to go to Bible school. And I wanted to go to Bible school real bad. And I had this Bible school in mind. It was a Bible school in Norway. And I was rejected from that Bible school twice. Didn't get to go. But the Lord, He opened the way for me to go to Germany instead. So I went to a lifestyle center in Germany. And in this lifestyle center, we treated people with depression, and we treated people with type 2 diabetes. Yeah? But when you're working at a lifestyle center like that, you will learn very quickly that the people that come there have a tendency of returning. Yeah? Why is that?
Because they keep doing the same things.
They keep doing the same things. People cannot control themselves. What is the cause of diabetes and depression?
Lack of self-control.
Lack of self-control. That is a good covering answer. It is not so precise, but it is a very good covering answer. It is true. But let me ask you this. Is the cause of type 2 diabetes what you eat?
One of them.
No. It is not. But we believe it is. Let me ask you this. Does something happen before you eat?
Should.
If you need to find the cause, what do you need to ask yourself? Does something come before? Yes? You have to go back to the beginning. Is there an action before you eat? Yeah? And I will also tell you, and it is sad that we have not discovered this within the Adventist Church. Diet is not the cause of type 2 diabetes. Exercise patterns are not the cause of type 2 diabetes. And I'm pronouncing it wrong, I believe. It's diabetes? Diabetes. Okay, but you know what I'm talking about. I have a client at home, and this client, he's a sportsman. He has been an active man all of his life. He is skinny as an eel. He has none of the risk factors for type 2 diabetes. The doctors don't know what to do with him. And one of the times I came to visit him, where they had cut another piece of his foot off because it's so bad and they can do nothing about it. He was laying in bed and he was sharing his thoughts on the matter. And he said, Stephanie, I don't want to think like this about my mother. But I heard recently that it is possible for a woman to be pregnant by 2 males at the same time. You see, he concluded that his mother must have cheated on his dad, because part of what we also blame, to say that people have diabetes is on the genes. But there is a problem for this guy because there is not one single person in his family that ever had diabetes type 2. And this man also has a twin brother. So what do you do when you cannot even blame it on the genes anymore? I tell you at least what the doctors has to conclude. They do not know the cause of type 2 diabetes, which I'm very happy for. Depression. Does it come from what you eat?
Not usually.
Not usually? No?
If you eat way too much, you get depressed.
If you eat way too much, you get depressed. I would still say it is not by eating too much you get depressed. There might be something else that has a trigger in there. Yeah? Why have we not found the cause of uncontrollable behavior or disease? You said it down there. You see, when we look at effects, we have primary effects, we have secondary effects, and we have tertiary effects, and it goes on. But we never get back to the root. We stop too soon, and we count an effect as the cause. You are sailing to America. You're not sailing to America, but I'll be sailing to America because I'm a Dane. Yeah? And you have a ship, you have a crew, you have a map even, you have everything you need except for this guy. A compass. Now you have all the expert up here, but you don't have a compass. But they are all of them pretty sure where north are, because they're experts. They're not really in agreement, but they are experts. So now, the first salesman, Bill, he takes the steering wheel one day, and he's sailing for north, or what he believes is north. And the next day, Jerry takes the steering wheel. His opinion of where north is a tiny bit different. How soon are you going to get to America? Not anytime soon. You're building a house now. You have all the machinery. You have all the workers. You have a building plan. But you're just missing one thing. The measure. And one of your experts decides that 3 meters is this tall. So this is how high his wall is going to be. And the other expert decides, well, 3 meters is this tall. So that is how high his wall is going to be. What is your house going to look like? We do not question the system before it fails us. I am very happy when I meet people and they say, I have been to the doctor and I have tried everything, and the doctors can't help me. Because I know what their problem is. And it's a very nice thing to know. What would unify the workers in the 2 cases we had before?
Source of truth.
A common reference. You need something in order to measure what is right and what is wrong. You need a reference to point you in the right direction. And that is what we are missing in this world today. We do not have a measurement. So, we need to understand the measurement. We need to understand the reference. And by the reference, we can solve the problem of humanity. In this world, we have 2 types of information. We have the self-evident information. And this information is the information that will give us the measurement that we need in order to interpret the information that needs interpretation. Self-evident information is the objects around us, the structure of the objects, and the function. It teaches us the measurement. And then we have the information that needs interpretation. And this information is the opinions, the literature and studies, religious books, because these things needs to be measured. Yeah? They need interpretation. The law in the universe we find by studying the nature around us. Tells us that nothing can exist or function by itself. And nothing can do anything for itself. In other words, everything we have that is created on this planet functions as a channel. It must take in order to give. It has an entrance and it has an exit. It has a cause and it has an effect. And this is the law that teaches us cause and effect. Everything is dependent on energy from outside, and everything has a serving purpose. This is how things are made. We have an example, and that's the apple tree. The apple tree functions as a channel. It has something it must take in order to give. In other words, it has needs that needs to be fulfilled. And then it has a product that it gives. What does the apple tree need?
Sunlight.
Needs sunlight. Anything else? Water.
Nutrients.
And nutrients. And what is the product of the apple tree? Apples. The apples. Does the tree need the apples for itself? No. That's there for somebody else. If one day your tree gives you bad apples, where do you look to solve the problem?
But the roots need.
The needs. Oh, so you mean you don't just pluck off the bad apples? Would it help you to pluck off the bad apples?
It may help the fruit.
What?
It may help the fruit.
It may help the tree. Does it solve the problem without taking care of the cause? What happens if you just pluck off the apples and do nothing about the needs? What?
Comes back next year the same way.
Exactly. What is needed to know in order that the human being may function correctly? With this law in mind, what is needed to know? We need to know what to put into the channel. We need to know where and how to put it in. And we need to know which buttons to push to get things going. Yeah? What to put into the channel. What are the needs of the human being?
Air, food, water.
Mine doesn't come in your, I'm sorry. I can't change that. I took sunshine first, but you came with them all. Water, sunshine, food, air. Do we need more?
Creator.
What?
Creator.
Creator. What do we need him for?
For life.
For life, okay. I think that life is the product of, or is the result of the needs being fulfilled, is it not? What do we need more? Does human being need anything more than these things we have listed?
Need love.
Oh, so there is somebody in here who thinks they need love. That is very nice to hear. We need love, yes. Where and how to put it in. When you have a need, you always have to have a receiving organ where you can fill the need into. Yeah? So now we have the needs and we have the organ. And we have the oxygen and air, and where do they go? The lungs. We have water. Where does it go?
No.
Digestive tract. Food. Same thing. Sunshine.
Skin.
Skin.
And eyes. Yeah? And love.
Brain.
The brain. I'm very happy you said that. It's a very nice thing. I'll put a question mark here. What is the brain made out of?
8% water.
8% water. What is love and what impact does it have on the human being? Love. Truth? Do we need truth? Yeah. Security? Harmony? Freedom? Understanding? Justice? Respect? Responsibility? Happiness? Peace? Orientation? Recognition? Acceptance? Loyalty? Curiosity and knowledge? Etc. Is there any chemical formula for any of these things? What is your brain made out of? What is water?
Material.
It is chemistry. How do you need something that is non-chemical for something that is chemical. There are no chemical formulae for these things, for these are things we only think about. Do plants need love? Does a plant think? No? I have a very nice story. I have a friend in New Zealand, and she got angry at her tree in her garden because it was a tree that did not want to produce fruit. So she got a little aggressive and she took her saw and she started to cut down the branches of the tree. And I tell you what did not happen. The next time she came out into her garden, there wasn't a sign like this.
Could you read it?
Not getting any apples before you treat me better. Actually, the tree started giving her more fruit. Because the tree doesn't really care about how you treat it when it just gets its nutrients. Yeah? A person, on the other hand, how does a person react when you don't treat them well? What is the difference between a tree and a person? Where do thoughts come from? And how are they produced? What is the origin of thoughts? What are thoughts and how are they made? What role do they play in health? In science, it is believed that thoughts are the result of neurons burning glucose. Yeah? They are produced, they are the product of a chemical reaction. Science has given the brain the capacity to think. And now we are going to investigate this a little bit. We all do agree in here that the brain is made out of chemistry, right? Yeah. So in order to conclude whether the brain can think or not, we have to look to the limitations of chemistry. Chemical reactions are set. They always occur in the same way. When you put two chemical components together, the same reaction will happen every time. In other words, H2O is going to give us water today, and it's going to give us water tomorrow. That ain't changing. We all follow that line of thinking? Yes. What more do we know about chemistry? Here we have a lady, and she's doing something. What is she doing? Why is she watering the plant? Because it needs water. It's a very simple question. It's a tricky one, but it's a very simple one. The plant can't walk to the water. If the lady was to water the plant with diesel, could the plant resist in taking the diesel in? What did you say?
Yes.
You believe that the plant can resist taking in the diesel?
Insulin.
What?
What was it? Taking in what?
Diesel? If you gave it diesel instead of water,
Diesel? Yeah, resistant.
could it resist it?
No.
I think you should make the experiments at home and see how your plant is feeling afterwards. I don't think it will go well. Yeah. Chemistry can never act, so the plant can't go to the water. And it can never choose not to react. That is a limitation of chemistry. So, you got a fancy new car, but one morning you come out and your windshield looks like this. Now, would you take the windshield and put it under a microscope to see how it broke itself? Anyone in here who would do that? No. Why not?
There's only a few ways it can break.
Can the windshield break itself?
No.
No, it cannot. Because the windshield is only made out of chemistry. Here we have a man, and he is cutting down a tree. And for some reason, this tree isn't running away, screaming bloody murder. Because chemistry has no ability to move. It can react, but never act. Everything that is chemical must be destroyed from the outside. Chemistry can never destroy itself. It is simply not possible. This is also why we can preserve food and all things. We just put them into an environment where we protect them from the outside, and then nothing will happen. Yeah? Now, the human being. What is it that makes the human being move? If you have a car and you put fuel in the car, will the car automatically move? No, it will not. Because in all objects around us, we find that at least two things are needed for function. You need something to generate function, and you need something to sustain function. Now, what does sustain human function? What is the thing that sustains human function? Food and water. What generates the function? The brain. That's it. We'll look to it. How do you find the thing that generates function? You look to what is missing when a person is no longer alive but still fully intact. When is a person declared dead?
When the electricity in your body no longer works.
When the electricity no longer is there. Yeah? So here we have our structure and function. We have our brain cortex. And we have the brain cortex go down into the limbic system. They're connected. And the limbic system is then connected to the rest of the body by our nerves. And they cross over so that the right side of the brain controls the left side of the body and opposite. Yeah? Except for some few cranial nerves and stuff like that. But it's not that important. So we don't take that into consideration. And then, in order to start up the system, we have electrical impulse. And this controls all the gates that need to open and shut in order for the chemicals to be produced and get around. Yeah? And a person is declared dead when the electrical current is no longer there. And the question we have to ask ourselves is, what is it that generates this in us? You see, if chemical reactions would happen without something to start them, everything would be a complete mess. Yeah? Who pushes the button to get the machinery going? Is it the brain? What creates electricity in the brain? Is it the brain? Can the brain generate its own electricity? Is it possible? We look to the law just first, and then we go into our arguments for it. We have the basic law. Nothing can exist or function by itself, and nothing can do anything for itself. Everything functions as a channel. It must take in order to give. So, can the brain produce its own means according to law? No. It's not possible. With the attributes of chemistry in mind, let's consider what it would look like if the brain generated its own electricity. If you were governed by chemistry, you would always eat at the right time, and you will always eat right. Why?
Because you wouldn't be able to choose otherwise.
You wouldn't be able to choose otherwise. Because chemical reactions are set. You would also go to bed at the right time, and you would not be able to resist going to bed at the right time, because if you are merely chemistry, the body would just say, now I'm tired, now I'm sleeping. You would also never change behavior, because it's all there in the genes. It is preset. And you would not be able to kill yourself. Do we find people in this world that kills themselves? Can chemistry destroy itself? No, it cannot. We would have no responsibility. When you are in the courthouse, you would be able to plead, I'm not guilty, it was my genes. I got it from Mama and Papa. What can I do about it? You would also have no need of love. Chemistry does not care about love. And you would not be able to learn anything new. You cannot teach chemistry anything. If you have a need that is non-chemical, the receiving organ must also be so. A spiritual need requires a spirit. And we have one more proof of that. This is a car, and on the side we have this symbol, and what does that tell us? No gas. And why do we have that on the car display? Because someone needs to decide to fill gas in the car. The car cannot fill gas on itself. It's not possible. Why do we have hunger and thirst?
It's our body telling us we need something that you can drink.
Exactly. Can we ignore the signals?
Sometimes. We can ignore it. Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah. We can ignore the signal. How long can you ignore the signal?
Until you die.
To the point of death. If you were chemistry, we would have no problem with young girls killing themselves from anorexia. If you were just made of chemistry, that would never happen. You wouldn't have a choice. The body would take you to the refrigerator and it would fill you up with all the good stuff. So, our structure and function in reality is that we have a brain cortex and a limbic system. And then we have the nervous system. But above the brain cortex, you have the human spirit. And the spirit, by the digestion of information, creates the electrical impulse. And here in my picture you can see that I say that the brain together with the spirit, or together with the body, creates what we know as the soul. Yeah? So they play together and you have the soul. And the electrical impulse that is created by thought supplies the whole body with electricity. And that also governs your chemistry. It opens the channels and it closes the channels by the electrical impulse that is put into the body by what you are thinking. Does it matter what kind of electrical signals come through?
Yes.
Yes, it does. Science teaches us that the human being is only made of matter. We are only chemistry. This teaching removes responsibility from the individual. And believe it, and if you believe it, it hinders us in finding the cause of disease and uncontrollable behavior. What we need in order to get into self-control and in order to be healthy is an understanding of the human being's spirit so we can know how to fulfill the need of the spirit. In Genesis 2:7 we read, "And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. And man became a living soul." So, the dust of the earth gives us a complex body with many organs. And the breath of life becomes a complex spirit. And together, they make a living soul. Apart, how much soul do you have? How much is there? nothing. Yeah? The elements still are there, but they're not function. Yeah? It's like a piano and a player. If you have the piano, what will the piano represent? What? The body? Was one who said? Yeah? And the player? The spirit? And the music? The soul? How do you know if the player can play the piano?
I listening to the music.
They're listening.
The music. Yeah? And we have taken this again because it's important. We are composed of two entities that make up a third, just like with water. And like with water, hydrogen never becomes oxygen, nor does oxygen become hydrogen, but together they make water. Yeah? And separated, there is no water. There is no eternal living soul, or any sort of that matter. That is not what we're saying. But we say the human being has two entities that needs to be filled up, and it is the spirit and it is the body. In order to be healthy and be in self-control, both things need to be filled in the right way. So how is our need for love fulfilled? Here we have the road of health and self-control. And if you have all the needs fulfilled, you will have normal function and 100% health. If you deviate from the road, the needs are not fulfilled, you will have dysfunction and disease, and dysfunction here also includes uncontrollable behavior. And in the end, if you deviate even further, you will have no function anymore because you go into the death lane. How important is it that we understand how the need of love is fulfilled? Can it kill you to try to fulfill the need of love in the wrong way?
Yes.
I have a story from one of my clients. He had a family member, and this man killed himself because he found out that his wife cheated on him. Now, the man was a serial cheater himself. That hadn't killed him. But finding out that his wife was disloyal to him took his life. How do we think our need is fulfilled?
Relationship with God.
There was one who said relationships with God. Yeah, we will talk about it a little later. Why do we have relationships?
Because we were made to be relational beings.
What is our motivation for relationships? Is it because, now this is me and this is my family. I have a couple of sisters here. One is adopted, the other one isn't. And I have my mom and I have my dad. And do I have relationships? Is my motivation for relationships because I have so much love I want to give? Is that my motivation for relationship?
No, you want to be loved. You want to be
Oh, we have a smart one over there. Yeah?
And then after you take it in, then you give it away.
Okay, yeah. Our motivation is revealed in the crisis. Yes? So, what is our motivation for having relationships? What do we do when people do not act like we want them to? We get angry. Why?
And get what we want.
They're not giving us what we want. What happens when people either die or do not give us what we expect? We go into uncontrollable behavior and disease. We become depressed or we become angry. Does the law permit that you give the same place as you take? Can the tree go to the other tree and ask for sunshine? But what does the human being do when he has a need of love?
Looks for it.
Where does he go?
Usually to another person. Usually.
Yeah. So, this is my relationships. And when I do not get what I expect, I stop giving. So, somebody said something here about God. Yeah? And we need God to be the one to fulfill our need of love. Yeah? Why do people leave God?
We believe that we were created.
What?
We believe we were created.
Is that why we leave God?
We leave that.
Yeah, why do people leave God?
Because he doesn't do what we expect him to, so we get mad at him and leave.
Exactly. So if you believe that you need God to fulfill your need of love, can that be true?
You may have been leaving him at least.
You may end up leaving him at least. How are our needs fulfilled? We have needs, we have a receiving organ, we have a source, and we have responsibility. Oxygen. What is oxygen for? Lungs? Yes? What is the source? Nature. And responsibility?
Breathe.
Mine. I have to breathe. Water. Digestive tract. Nature. And responsibility. Food. And the responsibility for drinking every day. Oh, sorry. Eating. It is mine. And the sunshine. It is also my responsibility to go out, get some sunshine. And love. There we have the receiving organ that we now know is the spirit, not the brain. The brain doesn't need love. The brain is just chemical. But the source of love is God. I have put a question mark there, but it is God. That is correct. But whose responsibility is it to fulfill my need of love? What?
We have to go with God, but God has to give us His love if we're going to have anything profitable to give to anybody else.
True. But when you do not, when you become angry with your spouse, is it because God is not doing His job? No. How much does it profit anyone that God loves them? How many people do God love? Everyone. And that is very good for God. But only the one that takes God's love and uses it will it profit. And we need to understand how that functions. Because when I get angry and when I lose self-control, it is not because God is not doing His job. I hope we all can follow that line of thinking. And this is where we're ending tonight.